That bottle of Aquavit sitting in your freezer right now, the one you pull out for Christmas dinner, is genuinely disturbing. Corporate consolidation on a massive scale. National spirits that aren't even made in their own countries anymore. A single mega corporation controlling up to 80% of the entire category. We analyzed 12 of the Nordic region's most popular Aquavit brands. We traced ownership through corporate mergers. We investigated production facilities. We uncovered what companies don't want you to know. What we discovered will change how you shop forever. These are the Aquavit brands you need to understand. And by the end of this video, we'll reveal which brand is actually worth buying. Number 12. Koskenkorva Aquavit, Finland's attempt at the Nordic spirit. Koskenkorva is a name most people associate with vodka, not Aquavit. And there's a reason for that. The Koskenkorva distillery was established in 1953 by the Finnish state-owned Altia Corporation, built specifically to process the potato surplus from southern Ostrobothnia. For decades, they focused on one thing, producing some of the purest grain spirits in the world through their famous 250-step continuous distillation process. But here's the interesting part. Finland is actually the world's largest producer of caraway, the essential botanical in aquavit. Yet Finns historically preferred vodka. Koskenkorva Viina became the best-selling alcohol in Finland by 1960, not aquavit, vodka. The Aquavit variant exists, but it's almost an afterthought in their product lineup. A caraway-flavored spirit from a company built on unflavored grain alcohol. Finland didn't even have a commercial craft aquavit until 2014, when the Helsinki Distilling Company launched Helsingfors Fiskehams Aquavit, the first distillery in Helsinki in over a century. The irony is remarkable. The country that grows more caraway than anywhere else on Earth barely makes aquavit. But here's what most consumers don't know. In 2021, Altia, the maker of Koskenkorva, merged with Norway's Arcus Group to form Anora Group, the world's largest aquavit producer. They now control everything from Finnish vodka to Norwegian Lini to Swedish O.P. Anderson. Competition authorities in Finland, Norway, and Sweden all raised concerns. The merger was only approved after both companies agreed to divest multiple brands to avoid what regulators called unfair market dominance. When a merger requires selling off brands to even be legal, that tells you something about the scale of consolidation happening in this industry. Number 11. Aalborg Dilled Aquavit, a dill-flavored variation from Denmark's most famous distillery. The bottle looks premium. The flavor is genuinely unique, fresh green dill with hints of lemon peel and subtle anise. Unlike traditional caraway-heavy aquavits, this one emphasizes herbaceous brightness. It pairs beautifully with gravlax, pickled herring, and seafood. But here's what the label doesn't tell you. Aalborg was founded by Isidor Henius in 1846 in the Danish city of Aalborg. For nearly 170 years, it was synonymous with Danish spirits production. De Danske Spritfabrikker, the Danish distillers, owned every single distillery in Denmark by 1923. They held a government-sanctioned monopoly on production until 1973. The factory became so important that the Danish Ministry of Culture designated it as one of the 25 most important industrial monuments in Denmark. And then, in April 2015, production ended. The last batch of Danish spirits was made on Danish soil. Workers sang a melancholic drinking song as the final shipment left. The iconic Aalborg Aquavits, including this dilled variety, are now produced in Norway by Arcus, which is now part of Anora Group. A Finnish-Norwegian conglomerate produces your Danish aquavit. The city of Aalborg's mayor called it saying goodbye to a significant company that has been part of Aalborg's brand for many years. That brand still sells worldwide, but the Danish tradition you think you're buying hasn't been made in Denmark for nearly a decade. Number 10. Aalborg Jubileum's Aquavit, the golden luxury option. Created in 1946 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Aalborg Tafel Aquavit, Jubileums, meaning Jubilee, was designed to be something special. Unlike most aquavits, it contains no caraway at all. Instead, it features dill, coriander, star anise, and citrus, rounded with an extract of American white oak. The barrel aging gives it that distinctive golden color and subtle vanilla sweetness. This is genuinely different from standard aquavit. It won gold at the 2001 International Wine and Spirit Competition. Multiple silvers and bronzes followed. The flavor profile is elegant, balanced, citrus-forward with warming spice. But here's the complication. Same ownership story, same Norwegian production, same corporate consolidation. You're paying premium prices for what the label suggests is a century of Danish heritage. The recipe may be authentic, the production facility is not. And here's what should concern you about the broader aquavit market. When Anora Group formed in 2021, competition authorities documented that the two merging companies were each other's closest competitors in aquavit. The parties would have achieved almost a monopoly position in Finland's aquavit category. They had to sell off 7 brands just to get regulatory approval. Skåne Aquavit, Hallands Flater, Brundum, and 4 others were divested to a Swedish wholesaler called Galatea Spirits. The aquavit section at your liquor store might look like variety. Multiple brands, multiple countries, multiple styles. But trace the ownership and you'll find remarkably few hands controlling the entire category. Number 9. Hallands Flater, Sweden's elderflower aquavit. This is where things get interesting. Hallands Flater was launched in 1986, making it relatively young by aquavit standards. But the tradition of spicing aquavit with elderflower is genuinely old in the Halland region of southern Sweden. The flavor is distinctive, full-bodied, flowery, with fresh elderflower character, hints of cinnamon, and subtle sweetness. This is not your grandfather's caraway heavy aquavit. It's lighter, more accessible, almost perfumed. If you've tried aquavit and didn't like the aggressive caraway flavor, Hallands Flater might change your mind. But here's what happened to it. The brand was originally produced by Vin and Sprit AB, the Swedish state-owned spirits company. V&S was sold to French giant Pernod Ricard in 2008. Then in 2010, Altea acquired both Hallands Flater and O.P. Anderson. When Altea merged with Arcus in 2021, competition authorities forced the divestment. Hallands Flater was sold to Galatea Spirits. Production now happens at the O.P. Anderson distillery in Sundsvall, northern Sweden. One brand, 4 different owners in 15 years. From Swedish state monopoly to French conglomerate to Finnish corporation to Swedish wholesaler. The liquid inside the bottle may be the same, but the economics behind it have been completely transformed. Number 8. Løiten Lini, Norway's original aquavit. This is where the famous Lini tradition began. Løiten Brendery was founded in 1855 in the village of Løiten. The distillery became famous for creating aquavit that crossed the equator twice before bottling. That distinctive sea-matured style that defines Norwegian premium aquavit. Unlike Lysholm Lini, which exports heavily, Løiten has historically remained a more domestic brand. It doesn't export significantly. If you're not in Scandinavia, you probably can't find it. That scarcity has created a certain mystique. But here's the history most consumers don't know. When Norway introduced prohibition in 1919, the government established Vinmonopolet as the sole producer, importer, and retailer of alcohol. After prohibition lifted, Vinmonopolet took over production and revived the Løiten brand. The distillery was the last independent brennery to resist the state monopoly. Only after a Supreme Court ruling did they finally submit. In 1927, Vinmonopolet purchased Løiten Brendery. In 1996, the production arm was privatized, creating Arcus Group. Vinmonopolet retained retail monopoly. Arcus took over all those historic recipes and brands. Now Arcus is part of Anora Group. So Løiten, which once fought against state control, is now owned by a Nordic megacorporation that controls up to 80% of Norway's aquavit market. The brand has been redesigned with careful attention to its heritage. A drinking horn, one of the oldest drinking vessels used by Vikings, was rediscovered as the original trademark after researchers went through distillery archives and the National Archives of Norway. But the independent spirit that defined Løiten for its first 72 years hasn't existed for nearly a century. Number 7. Rød Aalborg, Denmark's most famous aquavit. When Danes say they want snaps, this is what they mean. Rud Aalborg, or Red Aalborg, named for its distinctive red and white label, has been the archetype of clear Danish aquavit since 1846. Isidor Henius, a Polish-born distiller, is credited with bringing Danish schnapps production to a quality level that created an entire industry. The flavor is distinctive, bold caraway with hints of orange peel, fennel, coriander, and subtle citrus. At 45% ABV, it's strong but surprisingly smooth. The Danes have a drinking song for it, Ren som en jomfru, og stærk som en bejler, pure as a maiden and strong as a suitor. International awards have validated the quality. Gold at the International Wine and Spirit Competition 2015 and 2012. Multiple silvers and best-in-class designations. This is genuinely excellent aquavit by any objective measure. But again, the ownership story matters. In 1881, C.F. Tietgen consolidated multiple Danish distilleries into De Danske Spritfabrikker. By 1923, this single company owned every distillery in Denmark. The monopoly lasted until 1973. Then corporate consolidation continued. Pernod Ricard bought the company in 2008. Arcus bought it from Pernod in 2013. Production moved to Norway in 2015. Now Arcus is part of Anora, the oldest continuously produced Danish aquavit, a national symbol created in a city so associated with spirits that Aalborg became synonymous with aquavit itself, is manufactured in a Norwegian factory owned by a Finnish-Norwegian corporation. The heritage is real. The production geography is not. Number 6. Brøndum Snaps, Denmark's oldest existing schnapps brand. Founded in 1840 by Anton Brøndum in Copenhagen, 4 years before even Aalborg Tafel. This is the original Danish snaps, the grandfather of the category. The Brøndum family dedicated themselves exclusively to the art of flavored spirits. The flagship Nordic Aquavit is powerful and complex, dominant caraway with touches of cinnamon, orange peel, and star anise. At 45% ABV, it's not for the faint-hearted. This is traditional Danish drinking culture in liquid form. But here's the twist. In 1884, the Brøndum family sold their distillery to De Danske Spritfabrikker. For over a century, the brand continued under that umbrella. When Arcus bought the Danish brands from Pernod Ricard in 2012, there was one condition. Brøndum had to be sold separately. This aquavit brand went to Finnish distillers Altia. Then in 2021, when Altia and Arcus merged to form Anora, competition authorities again intervened. Brøndum was among the brands that had to be divested. It's now owned by Galatea Spirits, a Swedish company. Denmark's oldest snaps brand is now Swedish-owned. Not produced in Copenhagen, not even produced in Denmark. The tradition you're buying is a label on a bottle, not a reflection of where or how the spirit is made. And before we continue to the next brand, which honestly has the most fascinating story in all of Nordic spirits, take a second to subscribe and click like. It helps push this investigation to the people who need to see it. Let's go. Number 5. Skåne Aquavit, Sweden's second most popular aquavit. Named after the province of Scania in southern Sweden, a region with a 500-year tradition of aquavit and vodka production. Skåne Aquavit was launched in 1931 as a deliberate alternative to O.P. Anderson, using the same spices, caraway, anise, and fennel, but in reduced amounts for a milder, smoother flavor. Think of it as the little brother, approachable, less aggressive, good for beginners or for those who find traditional aquavit too intense. But the corporate history is dizzying. Originally produced by Vin and Sprit AB, Sweden's state monopoly. When V&S was sold to Pernod Ricard in 2008, Skåne went along. Then Altia acquired it in 2010. When the Altia-Arcus merger happened in 2021, Skåne was one of the brand's competition authorities forced to be divested. It's now owned by Galatea Spirits. The brand has had more owners in the past 15 years than in its first 70. And here's the critical point. The taste hasn't changed. The recipe remains the same. The production quality is maintained, but the economic reality behind that familiar bottle has been transformed multiple times. Every merger, every acquisition, every divestiture represents corporate strategy, not spirit-making tradition. When you buy Scana Aquavit, you're participating in a market where ownership changes faster than aging barrels. Number 4. Gamle Opland, Norway's most popular aquavit domestically. The recipe dates back to 1872, when Opplandske Spritfabrik was founded in the Oppland region of Norway. Gamle means old in Norwegian. This is heritage aquavit, the kind Norwegians have been drinking for over 150 years. What sets Gamle Oppland apart is the extended maturation. This aquavit spends a full 24 months aging in seasoned Oloroso sherry oak casks. That's twice as long as the minimum required for Norwegian aquavit classification. The result is noticeably different. Sweet caramel notes, vanilla undertones, honey, citrus, with the caraway more integrated and less aggressive than younger spirits. Tasting notes describe it as the Rolls-Royce of aquavit. Rich, complex, smooth. International Wine and Spirit Competition awards confirm the quality. Gold medals, bronze medals, consistent recognition. But here's the ownership reality. Arcus produces it, which means Anora Group controls it. The same corporation that controls Lini, Leuten, Aalborg, O.P. Anderson, and dozens of other brands. When industry publications say Anora has 70–80% of the Norwegian aquavit market share, brands like Gamle Oppland are part of that dominance. The quality is genuine, the heritage is real, but the competitive market that once existed has been consolidated into what competition regulators nearly blocked for being anti-competitive. Number 3, O.P. Anderson, Sweden's oldest and best-selling aquavit. Created in 1891 by Carl August Anderson as a tribute to his father, Olaf Peter Anderson, for the Gothenburg Exhibition Fair. It set the standard that other Swedish aquavits would follow for the next 130 years. The flavor profile is the classic Swedish template: caraway, anise, and fennel, aged in oak barrels for 8 months. At 40% ABV, it's completely organic. The spices create the foundation that later brands like Scana and Gammeldags Norlands would copy, just with less intensity. O.P. Anderson has won multiple gold medals at the International Wine and Spirit Competition. It's exported to Denmark, where it's become surprisingly popular. It represents Swedish tradition distilled into liquid form. Since 2018, production happens at a brand new distillery in Sundsvall, northern Sweden. The owners? Anora Group. Before that, it was Altea. Before that, Vin and Sprit. Before that, state-owned under Sweden's Brat system, which replaced total prohibition. The pattern should be familiar by now. Historic brand, state monopoly, privatization, corporate acquisition, merger, consolidation. But here's what makes O.P. Anderson significant. This is the aquavit that Anora uses as its international flagship alongside Lini. When they partnered with Underberg to enter the German market in 2020, they led with O.P. Anderson. When category experts talk about aquavit potentially becoming the next big thing, they point to O.P. Anderson's approachable flavor as the gateway. The brand is being positioned for global growth. Whether that growth serves the spirit's heritage or just corporate revenue targets remains an open question. Number 2. Aalborg Aquavit, the Aalborg brand family collectively. When we talk about Aalborg, we're talking about Denmark's entire aquavit identity. Aalborg Tafel is the flagship. Jubileums is the premium. Dill is the variation. Together, they represent the most significant Danish contribution to the aquavit category. Founded by Isidor Henius in 1846, the Aalborg distillery transformed Danish spirits from scattered small operations into an organized industry. The Danske Spritfabrikker became so dominant that by 1923 they owned every distillery in the country. A government-sanctioned monopoly, complete control. The Ministry of Culture designated the Aalborg factory as a national industrial monument. The sculpture Simbratiren, the Cimbrian bull, still stands where it was donated by the distillery in 1937. These are not just commercial products, they're cultural artifacts. And now they're made in Norway. Every drop of Aalborg-branded aquavit sold anywhere in the world comes from Arcus facilities outside Oslo. The Danish workers who sang their drinking song as the last batch left in 2015 watched their industry disappear. Is the quality maintained? By all accounts, yes. The recipes are identical. The production standards are professional. Blind taste tests wouldn't reveal the difference. But there's something uncomfortable about a national symbol being manufactured abroad for corporate efficiency. Denmark keeps the brand. Denmark keeps the heritage marketing. Denmark lost the production, the jobs, and the industrial tradition that created the brand in the first place. When you buy Aalborg, you're buying a story about Danish craftsmanship from a Norwegian factory owned by a Finnish-Norwegian corporation. Number 1. Nordic Aquavit, the most famous aquavit in the world, and genuinely one of the most remarkable production processes in the spirits industry. Here's the story. In 1805, a Norwegian trading family, the Lysholms, sent casks of potato-based aquavit to the East Indies. Nobody bought it. The barrels came back to Norway after a 2-year sea voyage. When they opened them, they discovered something extraordinary. The aquavit had transformed. The constant movement, changing temperatures, fluctuating humidity, and interaction with the sherry casks had created a smooth, complex spirit unlike anything before. By 1821, Jürgen B. Lysholm had studied chemistry in Berlin and understood what was happening. He launched Nordic Aquavit with a rule: every drop must cross the equator twice before bottling. Nordic means line, referring to the equatorial line. Over 200 years later, they still do it. Every cask of Nordic Aquavit travels on Wilhelmsen cargo ships for 4 months. They stop at more than 20 ports in over 10 countries. The ship's name and voyage dates are printed on every bottle. You can actually track which ship carried your specific bottle on their website. They've mounted webcams on the ship so you can watch the journey live. Arcus even tried to fake it. They experimented with rocking casks on land while subjecting them to weather elements. The result? According to Arcus themselves, far from the taste that a proper Nordic Aquavit should have. The journey is real because it has to be. The production involves Oloroso sherry casks, caraway and star anise as the dominant botanicals, and that unique sea maturation. The flavor is distinctive. Smooth, vanilla notes from the sherry wood, subtle sweetness, perfectly integrated spice. But here's the corporate reality. Nordic is owned by Anora Group, the same company that controls Leuten, Aalborg, O.P. Anderson, Gamel Opland, and most of the brands we've discussed. When the state nationalized Norwegian distilleries in the 1920s, only Nordic and Leuten survived. When Arcus was privatized in 1996, they inherited both. Now Anora controls approximately 70–80% of the Norwegian aquavit market. And here's what the romantic sea voyage story doesn't tell you. Each bottle of Nordic costs significantly more than competitors. You're paying for 4 months of ocean freight, Wilhelmsen shipping fees, and the inefficiency of sending barrels around the world. Is it worth it? The taste is genuinely superior. The story is genuinely true. The production is genuinely unique. But you're also buying into a system where one mega corporation controls most of the competition, where Danish aquavit is made in Norway, where Swedish aquavit passes through multiple corporate owners, where state monopolies gave way to corporate consolidation that regulators nearly blocked. So what's the real story here? 12 brands, most owned by a single corporation. Production moved from historic locations to centralized facilities. National symbols manufactured in other countries. Government monopolies replaced by corporate monopolies. Competition authorities forcing divestitures just to approve mergers. The aquavit in your freezer may taste exactly like it did a generation ago. The recipes are preserved. The quality standards remain high. Nordic genuinely crosses the equator. O.P. Anderson is genuinely organic. Aalborg's heritage dates back 178 years. But the industry that created these products has been fundamentally transformed. The independent distilleries are gone. The national production traditions have been consolidated. The variety you see on the shelf masks the concentration happening behind the scenes. If the aquavit industry operates like this, what about whiskey? What about vodka? What about the entire spirits market? We investigated. What we found reveals patterns of consolidation that most consumers never see, because what you don't know is exactly what these corporations are counting on. Subscribe for more spirits exposés. Turn on notifications. The next investigation drops soon, and trust us, you need to see what we found about how the global spirits industry really works. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.